Hi everyone. So today's class is going to be focusing on soothing the sciatic nerve. So a gentle yoga style class where we're going to be using lots of props. Definitely you'll need a strap or something that you can hold on to that's long enough to hold on to with two hands on either side. So a tie would work nice, a towel if you don't happen to have something else. You'll also need a blanket or a pillow, and 2 blocks if you have them. That's not super important, but it might be nice just to keep the class more on the gentle side of things. So grab hold of your strap when you're ready and then lie down on your back, and that's where we'll begin. So just have your strap nearby. We're not going to use it immediately. We're going to start off actually in Shavasana. So just go ahead and find a comfortable place to lie down. Allow the eyes to close. Let's start with a nice deep breath here in through the nose. Exhale, let it all go out of the mouth. Now just starting to notice the breath. Noticing if the breath feels deep in the body or shallow. Noticing if from one breath to the next it feels quick or slow. And slowly start to deepen the breath. Seeing if you can sense the feeling of the body filling from bottom to top. Noticing the breath leave from top back down to bottom. And then let's start to count the breath and just noticing how long it takes you to inhale. Observing how long it takes you to exhale. And slowly start to allow that exhale to be a little bit longer, or even up to twice as long as the inhale. So maybe breathing in for the count of 4. Breathing out for the count of 6. And really just using our breath to start to tap into the relaxation response. The side of the nervous system where we can relax, repair, restore, where we feel safe and we can rest. And just a few more soft and soothing breaths, just like that. Slowly begin to bring one knee and then the other in towards the chest. Just wrapping the arms lightly around the knees or the shins and rocking side to side. Noticing how the back and the hips are feeling. going to slowly start to press the knees away from us. Separate the knees, keep the feet together, and then bring the knees back towards you. Bring the knees back together, push them away, separate the knees, and then bring them back towards you. So just making little hip circles here. And go ahead and do that on your own a few more times, just moving the head of the femur bone in the hip socket, noticing what that feels like. Good. And then moving in the opposite direction. So whatever direction you happen to have been going in, move in the opposite. Noticing sensations along the way. Just bringing both knees in again for one breath. And then continuing to hold onto the right knee. Extend the left leg all the way down on the mat. So from here, really pull that right thigh in towards the chest. Feel that nice stretch in the back of the glutes, maybe the low back. Start to roll that right ankle in little circles. Maybe point and flex the foot. You could even spread the toes of that right foot and then scrunch them back up. Just finding movement in all of the tissues. Good. And now we're going to wrap our hands behind our right thigh. So right in the center of the hamstrings, squeeze the thigh onto the belly or as close to it as you can get, and then keep that right foot flexed. And from here we're going to do some sciatic nerve flossing. So the idea is to create space for the sciatic nerve to float freely through the tissues. So let's start with keeping the right foot flexed. And then as you inhale, keep the right thigh in and stretch just the lower portion of the leg and point the toes. As you exhale, bend the knee, flex the foot, bring that right heel back towards the glutes. As you inhale, stretch the shin up towards the ceiling, point the toes. Good, and then as you exhale, bend and flex. Good, and then just continue on like that. Maybe close the eyes and really tune into the sensations that you feel as we work our way through this range of motion. There's no right or wrong, so just noticing along the way maybe some tugging at the sit bone, maybe noticing hamstring tightness or tension. Really working to move with the rhythm of your breath here. So as we inhale, remembering we're straightening-ish the leg. And as we exhale, we're bending and flexing. Good. And just one more. And then release that right leg down next to the left. And just relax for a moment here. Notice the different sensations from side to side. You might feel like that right leg is longer than the left or just more relaxed. Good. Let's take a deep breath in through the nose. Exhale, let it go. And now hugging that left knee in towards you. And just give it a nice squeeze. Begin to point and flex the left foot. Maybe roll that ankle around in little circles. Maybe scrunching the toes up and then spreading them. Now wrapping the hands behind the hamstrings again, about midway between the sit bone and the knee, and squeeze the thigh onto the belly, flex that left foot, and we'll do that nerve flossing now on this left side. So as you inhale, stretch the lower leg, point the toes, and as you exhale, bend the knee, flex the foot. Inhale, stretch, and point, Exhale, bend and flex. And again, just working with your own breath here, maybe closing the eyes, noticing sensations along the way. Noticing differences from one side to the other. Take just 2 more repetitions. And after that second exhale, stretch the left leg down next to the right. And so for here, we're looking for a little bit more similarity than the last time we were here. So just notice sensation, blood flow, circulation. Just whatever's coming up for you. Take a deep breath in through the nose. And exhale, let it go. Good. And now reach for that strap that you have there. And we're going to unwrap the strap and place it over the ball of the right foot. So you can keep that left leg extended out, bend into your right knee, and loop the strap right over the ball of the foot. And then just reach up for a moment, and we're going to see if we can kind of plug the leg into the socket. So pulling on both sides of the strap equally to root down through that right leg. And then we're going to switch the straps into the left hand and take the right thumb to the crease of the right hip and gently push the right hip forward. So what we're looking for here is to maintain nice alignment in the hips. And then if you can, slowly begin to pull that right leg towards you. It doesn't have to go very far. If you can maintain that alignment without the right thumb, reach back up with the right hand and catch hold of the other side of the strap. You might bend the elbows out to the sides here. We're looking for a stretch maybe in the back of the right thigh, in the calf muscle. If you're feeling this primarily in the back of the right knee, relax that right knee just a little bit, just a little micro bend. And keep rooting down, keep breathing. One more breath. Good, and then we're going to switch the straps again into the left hand and hold on as high up on the strap as you can reach. Your right thumb is going to come to the crease of your right hip again and just gently press that right hip forward. And now allow the right leg to cross just over the midline of the body. We don't want to roll onto our side. Just go until you notice sensation someplace. Again, if you feel this in the knee, soften the knee a little bit and breathe. Just a few more breaths, maybe spread the toes to feel a little bit more sensation. Good, and then slowly bring that right leg back up. Release the strap, relax the right leg down to the floor again. Relax the arms down, and again, just observe any change. Good, and then let's even out the sides here. So now taking the strap over the ball of the left foot. Extend that left leg straight up towards the ceiling. And then pull down on both sides of the strap just to get that sense of rooting down. Feeling the head of the femur bone plugging right into the hip socket. Good. And then taking the strap now into that right hand, take the left thumb to the crease of the left hip, and you're going to push that left hip forward. So it's almost like we're wrapping the tissue of that right hip forward towards the bottom edge of your mat. And then slowly begin to pull the left leg towards you. Again, we're just going until we meet resistance. We don't want to go too far. There's no reason to force our way in. Just go until you notice something. And then if you can keep that left hip forward, keep it from rolling on up, go ahead and release the left hand back up to the strap and gently see if you can deepen into the pose just a little bit. Maybe bending elbows out to the sides. Notice the breath, still tapping into that relaxation response. Deep inhales, even longer exhales. And one more breath here. Good, and then switching the straps into your right hand now. Again, take the thumb into the crease of that left hip. Encourage the left hip forward. And then allow that left leg to cross just over the midline of the body. It doesn't have to go too far. If you're feeling it kind of in the outside of the knee there, relax that left knee just a little bit. We're just going for that light sensation. Just a few breaths. One more breath here. And then slowly come back through center. Release the strap, release that left leg all the way down on the mat. You can set your strap to the side. Close the eyes again and just simply notice. Let's take another deep breath in through the nose. Exhale, let it go. Hug both knees into the chest and gently rock side to side. And then either roll over onto one or the other side, or go ahead and just rock your way up to a seated position. Good. And take just a moment there and see if you can lengthen the spine up. Take a deep breath in through the nose. And then exhale, let it go. Good, and now grabbing hold of your blanket, notice I have mine rolled up here. It doesn't have to be rolled up, but I know that this is the way that I'm gonna like to use it in just a minute. And we're gonna stretch our right leg forward and bring our left foot in. Interlace the hands over the left shin, and then just pull into that left shin to sit up nice and tall. Good. So if you're already feeling this maybe in the low back on that left side, you might simply stay here. If you have a little bit more space, we're going to cross the left foot over the right thigh and then begin to twist to our left. So the left hand can come behind you, the right arm can wrap around that left shin, and then maybe look over that left shoulder. So still being relatively at the beginning of our practice here, we don't want to go too deep. So just kind of notice how everything feels. Maybe close the eyes, tuck the chin. For this one, I actually like to take my left fingers and interlace them through my right and just gently open up through the heart as I continue to twist. Whatever variation works for you, go ahead and do that. One more breath here. Good, and then look forward, unwind, and if you have a prop nearby, here's where you might want to use it. We're going to take our left knee and see if we can cross it over our right knee, and here's where I feel just a little bit too much pressure in the back of the knee, so I'm going to slide my blanket underneath my knee. So I've got my left leg crossed in a half Gomukhasana, or half cow face position. My right leg is straight, and then we're going to reach the arms straight up towards the ceiling, and as you exhale, fold forward. Now, if you can't reach your foot, feel free to grab hold of that strap, loop it over your foot. We're just going to kind of melt in here, drop the weight of the head. And we'll take about 5 breaths here. Notice the breath filling the body all the way up from bottom to top. And maybe sinking just a little bit heavier into the pose as you exhale. One more breath. And then slowly come on up. Lean back. If you have that blanket under your foot or under your knee, just go ahead, slide it away. Bring the soles of both feet to the floor. And we're just going to rock the legs from side to side. Good, and then we'll do the other side. So now we're going to stretch the left leg forward. See if you can sit up nice and tall, interlacing the hands over that right shin. Extend through the crown of the head. And again, if you're feeling this already on that right side, in the low back, in the glutes or the hip, you can stay right here. If you have the space, cross the right foot over the left thigh, and then we're going to wrap that left arm around the right thigh as you twist to your right. You want both sit bones down on the floor. And again, we're not twisting too deeply here. If you'd like that same variation as the other side, you can lift up your right fingertips and interlace them through the left. And then just gently pull the fingers apart as you twist. One more breath. Good. Look forward, unwind, and now cross that right knee on top of the left. I'm going to take my blanket again, slide it under my left knee, just for a little bit of support. And inhale, take the arms straight up in the air. As you exhale, fold forward over that left leg, maybe touching the toes, dropping the head, tucking the chin. And just relax into this. About 5 breaths. Really feeling each and every breath here. And one more breath. Good, and then slowly start to walk it back. Release that blanket, place a bend in both knees again, soles of the feet on the floor, and just rock the knees from side to side. And then cross the legs and roll on over to hands and knees. And for just a moment, let's take child's pose, just remembering that this is a great pose to take rest in if you ever need it. So big toes are touching knees apart, just allowing the rib cage to melt in between the thighs. Relax the forearms down. Relax the breath. Just allow the heaviness of the hips to sink back towards the heels. Good, and now as you inhale, rise up to hands and knees, table pose. Creases of the wrists under the shoulders, knees underneath the hips. And let's just start a few rounds of cat-cows here. So as we exhale, we're tucking the tail, rounding the spine, dropping the head. As you inhale, dropping the belly, lifting the gaze, and relaxing the shoulders down and away from the ears. Just a few more times. Good. And now come back to that neutral place. We're going to take our left leg back behind us, toes starting down on the floor here. And really make sure that we're stable in the shoulders. Hug the upper arm bones in, press the floor away from you with both hands, and hug the belly in. Now from here, we want to make sure that that pinky edge side of the toe stays pointing down towards the floor. Engage the muscles of that left thigh, so really feel those muscles wake up here. And as you inhale, raise the left leg no higher than the hip. So just so you can see here, notice what happens when I go higher than the hip, the low back sags. So we want to make sure that the leg is hip height, no higher, maybe a little bit lower if you need it to be. Hug those upper arm bones in, press the floor away from you, squeeze the belly. And now as you inhale, try to keep the hips aligned and rotate the toes of that left foot out to the left. and then rotate them back down. So what we're doing here is finding a sense of engagement in the piriformis muscle on that left side. So this is a light strengthening pose for the piriformis muscle. Good, do that one more time. Good, and then come back through center. Keep those toes pointing down. Stretch the right arm forward. Breathe, press that left hand into the mat. And one more breath. Good, and as you exhale, now drop the right hand down to the floor. Step the left foot up between the hands. And here's where you might end up wanting your blocks. I'm going to grab hold of mine and place them at the second tallest level here. Walk the right knee back in space just until you start to feel a light stretch in the right hip flexors. And take the blocks or the hands if your hands are on the floor, and they're going to be right underneath the shoulders for the most amount of support. Hug the inner thighs in and breathe. Relax the shoulders down and away from the ears. Inhale, stretch the chest forward. And as you exhale, sink the hips back in space. Keep those left toes on the floor. Inhale, come forward, relax the shoulders. Exhale, shift back, keep the left toes on the floor. Good, inhale, come forward this time, press into the left foot, and then rise up for a nice low lunge. Arms lift up and overhead. Breathe, hug the outer hips in. And just really focus on maintaining that nice quality of breath. If you want this to be a little bit more challenging, press your left foot down into the mat and just imagine dragging it back towards the right knee, so that isometric drag. Couple more breaths. Good, as you exhale, drop the hands down to the floor, tuck the right toes, and lift that right knee up off the mat. Good, so staying here for just a few breaths. Hug the inner thighs in. Good. And now for this one, I'm going to move the block from underneath my right hand and set my right hand on the floor. I'm also going to move my left block out of the way. So from here, we're going to turn both sets of toes to the long edge of the mat. So drop your right heel and then pivot and turn your left toes to face the long edge of your mat. As you inhale, stretch your left arm all the way up and over your left ear. The right hand is firmly planted underneath the right shoulder. And now imagine dialing your right thumb forward, lift your left hip up, feel that nice stretch in the outer hip, and breathe. One more breath. Good. As you exhale, look down, turn the toes forward again, drop that right knee, and let's just slide that left leg back and take a child's pose. And just come back to that breath, that soft and steady rhythm. And as you inhale, now rise up to hands and knees, table pose. And let's take a few more rounds of cat-cow. So as we exhale again, we're rounding the spine, dropping the head, tucking the tail. As you inhale, the belly falls, the gaze lifts, and the shoulders draw down and away from the ears. Take just a few more rounds here. Good. And coming back to that neutral position now, we're going to take our right leg back behind us, toes on the floor. So just using that pinky edge side of the toes on the floor to get an idea of the alignment in the hips. Hug the inner thighs and begin to squeeze the muscles of the right thigh onto the right thigh bone, and then slowly lift that right leg about hip height. Good. So stability in the arms, push the hands down, keep the engagement in the right leg, and as you inhale, turn those right toes out to the right. And so what we're looking to avoid here is really rocking that right hip open and shifting the left shoulder forward. So try to keep everything steady. And as you inhale, just rotate the head of the femur in the socket. And as you exhale, rotate the toes back down. So engaging that piriformis muscle as we're rotating out. And one more time. Good. And then slowly rotate the toes back down to the floor and take that left arm forward for spinal balance. Keep breathing. Hug the low belly in. Good. As you exhale, drop the left hand down, step the right foot forward between the hands. And again, I'm going to use blocks underneath my hands, the second tallest way. If you prefer to have your hands on the floor, that's totally fine. And now walk the left knee back in space until you feel a stretch in the left hip flexors. Inhale, look forward. Exhale, shift the hips back. Keep those right toes on the floor, drop the head. Inhale, come forward, bend into the right knee. Exhale, shift the hips back, stretch the leg. Good. Inhale, come forward, just one more, relax the shoulders. Exhale, shift the hips back. Good, and now inhale, come forward, drive down through the right foot, raise the arms straight up in the air for a nice low lunge. Breathe. And just a few more breaths, remembering that you can drive down through the right foot and isometrically drag it back towards the left knee if you'd like to. Good, one more breath. Drop the hands down to those blocks or the floor, tuck the left toes, lift the left knee up, finding a lot of strength here, relaxing the shoulders down and away from the ears. Just pushing back through the left heel, hugging the right hip in, pushing down through that right foot. Good. And now from here again, I'm going to set my left block to the side so I can place my hand on the floor. Set my right block out of the way. And I'm going to turn both sets of toes now to the long edge of the mat. So dropping your left heel, pivoting and turning your right toes out. And then as you inhale, stretch your right arm all the way up and over your right ear, lifting your right hip. Push down through the left hand and imagine dialing those left fingertips to the left. One more breath. Good, and now as you exhale, look down, drop that right hand down, drop the left knee down, and let's take that child's pose once again. Sinking hips back towards the heels, and just coming back to the breath. Let's take just a few more breaths here. As you inhale, rise back to hands and knees, and this time downward facing dog. So tucking the toes, lifting the hips up, relaxing the heels down towards the floor. Let's put a giant bend in just the left knee here. Press the right heel down, stretch the heart towards the thigh. And switch sides, big bend in that right knee. Stretch the belly and the chest towards the thigh. Stretch the left heel down towards the floor. Good, and now rising up to both sets of toes and step the feet forward between the hands. Inhale, lift halfway, find length. And exhale, fold. I'm going to set my blocks to the side. I'm not going to need them right away here. You might choose to hang on to them. For now, interlace the hands over the elbows and just let the weight of the upper body be heavy. Good, and now pressing into the feet. Inhale, swim the arms all the way up and overhead. And exhale, hands to the heart. Inhale, arms rise. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, lift halfway, and then we're going to step back with the left foot. Pretty far back on the mat there. Again, if you want, you can have blocks underneath your hands. We're going to pivot and plant our left heel. So we've got warrior one feet. See if you can get right heel, left heel aligned. If that's a little bit too much for you, no need to be rigid about it. You can walk your right foot to the right a little bit. And now drive down through that right foot. Push down and away with the left heel. And as you inhale, rise all the way up to a warrior one. Good. So on this one, we're strengthening the piriformis on the right side, and now we're stretching it on the left side. So think about your right glutes hugging back in space, and your left hip moving forward. Keep that nice bend in your right knee, and really push down through the outer edge of your left foot. So we don't want to collapse into the ankle or the knee. So as you drive down through the outer edge of the left foot, it's going to help you support that left knee and pull your left hip forward. You might imagine pushing down through your left foot and taking the left heel to the left, just to help pivot those hips a little bit more forward. Good. One more breath here. And now straighten your right leg and start to lean forward. Try to keep that right hip back in space, lean forward. As soon as you're ready, drop the hands down to the floor or maybe onto blocks at this point. So maybe one block underneath each hand. Nothing has changed at this point about the position of the feet, and just allow yourself to melt down. Couple more breaths. Good. And now press the arms straight, bend into that right knee, pivot onto the ball of the left foot. And we're going to step our left foot forward probably at least 6 to 8 inches until we can get the sole of both feet now down on the floor. So both sets of toes are pointing forward. I've got a block underneath each hand. You might have your hands on the floor here. And we're going to try to pull our right hip back in space. Keep the left hand right underneath the left shoulder. And now actually pick up your right thumb and take it to the crease of your right hip and pull your right hip back. So you might feel that swaying of your hips to the left, and that's what we want here. Keep the left hand down, and now swim your right arm up towards the ceiling. Keep breathing. Revolve triangle pose. Good. One more breath. Good. And then look down, drop the right hand down, and step the left foot forward to meet the right. Inhale, lift halfway, find length in the spine. And exhale, fold, and just relax here for a few breaths. Notice any change from the right side of the leg to the left. For most of us, that left leg is going to feel a little bit tighter, a little less relaxed than the right. Good, so now softening into those knees again, push into the feet. Inhale, arms rise all the way up and overhead. And as you exhale, hands to the heart. Inhale, arms rise. And exhale, fold forward. Inhale, lift and lengthen the spine. And now as you exhale, step back with the right foot and pivot it out to the side at about a 45-degree angle. So we're setting up for that warrior one. If you can do heel-to-heel alignment, that's great. Maybe you need to go a little bit wider. I'm going to slide my blocks underneath my hands here. Now, a nice deep bend in the left knee. Push down into the left foot and drive down through the outer edge of that right foot. Good. Now from here, as you inhale, press into that left foot, rise up with support, breathe. Good. And now again, we're working on a little bit of strength for that piriformis muscle on the left side. So think about hugging the left hip back in space and the right hip forward. So pushing down through the right heel, imagine your right heel pushing towards the back edge of your mat on the right side. Really strong pose here. Keep breathing, maybe engage the muscles of the arms if we've forgotten about the arms along the way. Couple more breaths. Now stretch the left leg straight. Begin to lean forward. You don't need to change anything about the feet here just yet. And the moment you need to, drop the hands down to the floor or those blocks that are waiting for you and melt over the left leg. And just a few more breaths. And really letting the weight of gravity do the job for you here. So try not to push yourself out of this one. Relax the elbows, relax the shoulders. As you inhale, press the arms straight, pivot onto the ball of the right foot. And remember, now we're going to step the foot forward about 6 to 8 inches, whatever works for you, so that you can get the soles of both feet flat on the floor and pointing forward. Hug your left hip to the right just a little bit. And now, keeping your right hand down on the floor, take your left thumb to the crease of your left hip. And just like we did earlier when we were on the ground, peel the left hip back in space, and it's going to help to rotate you a little bit here at first. You might also feel that nice stretch up the outer edge of the leg. And now take the left arm straight up. Push your right heel down and away from you. Really try to align those hips. Good. One more breath. And look down. Drop that left hand down. Step the right foot forward to meet the left. And just allow yourself now to dangle here in a forward fold. Good. Let's inhale, lift and lengthen. Exhale, plant the hands, step back to downward facing dog. And drop the knees to the floor. So from here now, we're going to take a really classic pigeon pose. So from table pose, take your right knee up to your right wrist. If you can get it to tap the wrist, that's great. If it's not quite there, that's also okay. And now we're going to angle our right shin to the left. Begin to walk your left knee back in space. And just melt into this. Feel it in the hips. If your right hip is lifted up off the floor, we have that blanket or block or a pillow nearby. You're welcome to slide it underneath that right hip if you need the support. Good. Take just a moment. Take this mini back bend here, gazing forward. And slowly begin to come down into pigeon. So for this one, if you'd like, you could rest your forehead on a block if that feels good. Maybe on the floor. But just allowing yourself this space where you can come back to the breath. And for a moment, just really feeling the body breathing. Notice places where you might be holding on. The shoulders can relax, the arms. Let's take 3 more breaths here. Press your way back up again. Rock down onto that right side, so we're removing that prop from underneath the hip if you have one there. And we're going to take our left leg right around to cross right on top of our right leg. And then just sit up really tall. So if this is not accessible to you, you can just simply cross the legs here. Press the hands into the floor, lift the chest. And if you can, just coming forward a little bit, you might bring the hands in front of you. Walk the hands forward if you have the space. take one breath here. And then slowly come on back up. Slide the left leg back behind you again and find your way back to a nice table pose. Let's take a couple rounds of cat-cow between sides here. So again, as we exhale, we're rounding the spine, dropping the head. As we inhale, dropping the belly, lifting the gaze. And take just one more. Good. And now coming back to neutral, we'll bring our left knee up towards our left wrist, slide the right leg back in space. And angle that left shin, left toes to the right. Keep walking the right knee back in space. Sit up nice and tall. Again, if your left hip is really rolling up, feel free to slide a blanket or a prop underneath that left hip. And as soon as you're ready, crawl your way forward. Relax into this pose. See if you can let the weight of gravity press down and get that nice stretch in the hips and the glutes. And just coming back to the breath. Notice places in the body where you might be holding on a little bit. See if you can walk your elbows out a little further. Relax the torso down just a little bit more. And taking just one more breath. And then slowly crawling your way back up. Rocking down on your left hip, sliding the right leg around in front of you to cross over the left leg. If possible, we're trying to stack knee on top of knee. If that's not accessible, you're welcome to, of course, just simply cross the legs. Bring the hands next to the hips. Sit up as tall as you can, and then fold forward over the legs. Any amount. So any amount means, for some of us, simply tucking the chin. And you might feel a nice deep stretch all the way down the back line of the body. And take just one more breath here. And slowly come on up. Stretch the legs out in front of you. Shake them out a little bit. And then we're going to lay down on our backs. So scoot forward, lay down on your back. Let's start with a bend in the knees. And closing the eyes. And one more breath. And now stretching the left leg straight. Hug the right knee into the chest. Begin to rotate that right knee in little circles. In whichever direction you're going, move now in the opposite direction. Good. And now release your right arm out to the right. Take your left hand to the outer edge of your right knee, and we're going to take that right knee right across the midline of the body. Maybe all the way to the floor if you'd like to. Just finding a place where it feels good to stretch. Maybe releasing the low back here. Gazing over the right arm. And one more breath. And slowly come back in, hug that right knee in for just a moment. And then release that right leg all the way down. Hug the left knee into the chest, give it a squeeze. Rotate that left knee in little circles, just moving into that hip joint. Good. releasing the left arm to the floor. The right hand can come to the outer edge of the left knee and begin to take that left knee across the midline of the body. Again, just going to where it feels good. No need to force. And just one more breath. Slowly look up, come out of the pose, relax the right arm down, stretch the left leg down, and just start to find that really comfortable resting place. Maybe it's right where you landed, maybe gently turning the head from side to side. Closing the eyes. Let's take a deep breath here together in through the nose. Exhale, let it go. Enjoy your rest. Begin to softly deepen the breath. Wiggle the fingers and the toes. Rolling the wrists and the ankles. And gently turning the head from side to side. Slowly stretching the arms back behind you, stretching the legs forward. Give yourself a nice deep stretch. And as you exhale, melting back into the mat. Gently bringing both knees back into the chest, rocking side to side. Rocking over to one side or the other, or simply rolling up to seated. Finding your way to the front of the mat, bringing hands together at the heart and closing the eyes. Thank you for practicing with me today. Namaste.